Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wild Moments, brought to you by explore.org. We have none other than the Starman with us. Hi, Ben.
Hello, Charlotte. Hello, everybody. It's been a long time, and it's wonderful to be back.
It has been a long time. What have you been up to? Where have you been?
I have just got back from a couple of weeks in Tanzania, or Tanzania, depending. I'm still not quite sure how it's supposed to be pronounced. But I've been up in the sort of just south of the Serengeti doing some astronomy training with guides for a couple of weeks up there and introducing them to their new telescopes and how to use it, and all things celestial as normal.
Wow, you really are high up there. There
I am
was
there
a
indeed.
joke. There was a joke somewhere there.
Lost
I
a
may
little
not
bit in translation, but
yeah.
yes, I'm on a higher celestial plane, perhaps.
Something spiritual was there. It just escaped me. Well, we're glad to have you back, Ben. Did you see anything interesting while you were on your adventures?
I saw lots of buffalo. I saw some elephants, beautiful martial eagle. I was actually very happy to see the which one is it now? One of the dik-dik species they've got up there. I've seen dik-diks in Namibia, but that was my first time to see East African Kirk's dik-dik, which
Oh,
I've rather fallen in love with because they've got massive eyes and sort of rat faces, and I just think they're incredibly cute as well as being tiny. So I'm a big fan of those at the moment. They stole my
I
heart.
I've never seen a dik-dik in person. I've only ever seen, you know, photos or videos of it. But I also feel like I would love to just pick one up and run away with it, but then that's not what we do.
We shouldn't do that. So that was a highlight. I saw a few of those. Probably the highlight of the whole trip because it's not an area known necessarily for cat viewing, but we were out on a little afternoon bumble and we heard some jackals shouting at something. So followed the noise and we found a leopard. And I got some lovely photos
Wow.
of a leopard there, which so they don't see leopard all that often in that particular area. And she was super relaxed for a non-habituated cat. We watched her for maybe 15 minutes from maybe 20 or 30 meters away, but she was lying out on the rocks and just looking absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, fantastic. A little bit jealous, although I did also have a wildlife weekend.
Where have you been?
It's a giraffe, everyone.
Balloon animals. Did you do the drawings on it to accentuate the features?
No, I was privileged enough to attend a magic show at a 9-year-old's birthday this weekend. And I lost my mind. I don't know why these kids are not as enthusiastic as I was, to be honest. But thanks for my enthusiasm, the magician made me this giraffe.
That is a very impressive balloon
Right?
animal. There's different aspects. It's multicolored. Look at all the different shades, the drawings. That's possibly the best balloon animal I've ever seen.
Right? That's what I said. But yeah, and the thing is that the kids didn't even seem to notice that suddenly this 34-year-old who had snuck in and was sitting on their tiny chairs and getting super excited about this magician doing his thing, which I kind of appreciated. But that's as close as I got to any wildlife this weekend. But I still had an epic one.
I'm quite jealous of your balloon animal. I think I may have to get this magician's details. I'm actually doing a kids' party myself tomorrow.
Oh,
I'm doing a star party, weather depending, for a group of 9-year-olds, ironically, as well. So if only I'd have known in advance, and maybe he could have made some planets or something, or spaceships as well.
I'm sure, I mean, if, with this kind of craftsmanship, I'm sure he could do anything. Or as
I'm
Kurt
very
says, you need to brush up on your balloons, Ben.
I do. It's not a skill set that I've worked on recently. I'll see what I can do. Maybe next time I do this, I will show you one of my balloon creations, and we can all guess
Yes,
what it is.
a sausage.
Pretty much a balloon, a twisted, mangled balloon.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you for always listening to our first 5 minutes of speaking absolute whatever we like. And remember that we are live and interactive. It's a pleasure to be with you all. So please do send through your questions and your comments. Already we have Jack De Boer that says good morning. MG Leopard Spot says thanks so much for being here. It's the best way to start your day. That makes me feel great. Dear NC says good morning. Kauru says hi. Jean Gale says good morning. And you said that before the dawn on a classic rainy November morning north of Seattle. Doesn't that sound romantic? It certainly does. Casper the Ghost says hi, and everyone is ready for the show, and everyone is ready with their coffee. What do you have accompanying you today, Ben?
I do have caffeine, but not in the classical coffee sense. I'm afraid I'm doing the very unhealthy uh, energy drink thing.
Ben! It's
I
okay.
know, but I need energy for this show. It's got to be upbeat.
Yeah, and also you're doing a 9-year-old's party tomorrow, so you need
Exactly. I'm
you
working up
need as
to
much as you can get.
the magic balloon animal elixir, maybe.
It is. I mean, shame that poor magician. There were lots of young boys saying, "I know how you did that. I watched this on YouTube." Poor guy.
ChatGPT
Anyway,
will tell me how to do it in 3 minutes. Yeah.
exactly. Anyway, let's get right to it, everybody. We're going to head over to Lentora to start off and have a look at one of my favorite animals that I've only ever seen once. You do.
Spectacular.
Stunning.
This camera at Lentor is pretty amazing. We see some very unusual things on this camera. Oh,
What could it
short but
be?
sweet.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
wow.
Wow. I always find it interesting that many a time when I've sat at a waterhole and something like this happens, there's one individual and someone else comes in, they, for some reason, want to drink at the exact same spot.
Recency bias. Yeah.
Exactly.
I just saw some ears of the caracal moving around the back. So I assume the caracal has decided to not argue with those spines. They look certainly fairly spread out. I don't know if he or she was just proving a point to that caracal.
Hey, proving a point.
I didn't even see. I didn't. It's the caffeine. I'm just all of these unexpected puns just forthcoming now.
I've actually never noticed how far apart the eyes on a porcupine are. I mean, it makes sense. They're close to the ground. Um,
Hmm.
they've got to keep an eye out for predators. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Caracal's coming back.
hello. That's the dangerous end, caracal. Looks like quite a small one. I mean, my caracal knowledge is not wonderful, but it looks like quite a slight one, whether it's just particularly hungry or still a bit of a juvenile. But caracals that I have seen look a bit more stocky than that. They're a surprisingly powerful cat, and that one does look a little bit on the small side to me.
I would agree. The one time that I did see a caracal was actually uh, on the road in Cape Town, on the peninsula, and it was
Hmm.
lying on the road, and I thought that's a massive dog. And then I looked again, and I thought, oh, that's a massive cat. Whoa, that's too big a cat. And then I realized it's a caracal, and it was much stockier than this individual.
Yeah, I think a mixture of a youngster with a small belly as well. But what an amazing sighting this is. Caracal and porcupine quenching their thirst at the same time in the same place.
It's
Oh, look at that.
to die for. It's so cute. But this kind of sighting is there's guides that don't get to see porcupines it might just be fleeting and hardly ever get to see caracal, and you've got both of them in the same sighting. That's insane.
That is, yeah, it's like for you, it's people always ask what's your favorite animal, and I normally do say caracal. I was actually trying to work out because in Tanzania where I was, they say they do see caracal with a bit of regularity. So I was really hoping, because I think the last time I saw a caracal in the wild, and my total number of caracal sightings in 20 years is probably 5 or 6. But I think I worked out the last one I saw was 2016, so almost a decade ago since I last saw one in the wild.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, they are very, very fleeting. I remember guiding in the Eastern Cape, like Amakala and Caracal side, and they tend to see caracals more often than we would see in in the low veld. Um, and I was so hoping, and it just would not happen for me.
I almost saw one a few months ago in Kruger. We were driving up north of Satara, and there was a car parked, and we stopped at the standard, what have you seen? And they said a caracal had just crossed the road and had gone into the long grass, and we could see the grass moving, but we never got a glimpse of the caracal. And there was two cory bustards that were also paying very close attention to something and started sort of disappearing off into the distance. So obviously being harassed by this thing. So it was as close as I got. I saw moving grass and an eyewitness report that we'd missed one by 10 seconds, 15 seconds, which was a bit frustrating. But yeah,
That's
try as we might, we
torture.
couldn't see anything through the grass.
That's proper torture, because you saw the grass moving. It was there. It was
It was there.
definitely there. Within range, if it had just maybe lifted its head up or stopped and flattened some grass.
We needed it to do one of those dramatic caracal cartwheels, which I've never seen in the wild. That's one of those bucket list things, to see one leap and flip and grab a unsuspecting guinea fowl or something out of the sky.
I don't even believe it. I've seen videos of this, but I'm not sure, because
Yeah, AI photoshopped.
Nice. Jen Latch, you say, look at those spines. Those were some pretty impressive spines. And that porcupine came in prepared. I think it very much knew that the caracal was there and decided, I'm going to make myself as big as possible, and then move to the water. Mindy, you say these cats are absolutely stunning. They really are. When I was little, so my family did not really do nature and bush very much. But I knew I liked these cats with these tufts at the ends of their ears, but I had no idea what they were. And then I found out that it's a lynx. So I was like, oh, I love lynx. But then something was not quite right about the lynx. And then I only realized, like, I must have been about 16 when I realized it's a caracal, that I absolutely really love. So they are stunning.
I'm still hoping, but I used to work many years ago. I guided at a lodge down in KwaZulu-Natal, and my tracker there told me that he once saw a single caracal take out a full-grown male impala. He saw the kill happen, and I've heard these sorts of stories before. I believe that they are reputed to be pound for pound the strongest of all the felines that we get out here. But to think of a caracal, which, to be honest, I mean, shoulder height's barely going to come up to a full-grown impala ram's belly, but was able to subdue a 60-kilogram antelope. It just shows you how powerful they are.
Yeah, because a caracal can't be more than 20 kgs, right? I think that's even on the bigger
That's
side.
something.
Yeah. Skill,
Hugely powerful.
it's all about that skill. And I find that every time I try to read or learn more about caracals, there just isn't enough information. I learn or read the same things, learn the same things, but sightings are so fleeting and infrequent that I haven't seen many studies on them, and I don't even get anecdotal or insufficient anecdotal evidence from people.
No, I did a quick bit of reading because I knew we were going to see a caracal today, so I pulled out some of my books on the bookshelf. I just thought, well, I'll just swat up on caracal, and as you said, most of them say more research needs to be done. We're lacking any specific evidence thereof, and yes, it does seem to be one of those things. Them and servals, and their elusive nature, particularly down here, there just doesn't seem to be a huge amount of literature on them that I own anyway.
Yeah, definitely agreed. Darkmane Lover says hello to both of us, and so good to have us both here as our hosts. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Darkmane Lover, and very nice to see your name. Anyway, let us now come back down a little south and head over to Botswana and have a look at what's going on at Selinda. That's how I like my lionesses. A little scruffy and dirty at the bottom.
Yeah, definitely got some booties, some stockings on. Nice to see evidence of the rains.
Yes. I don't know why, but this is heart-pounding stuff when a lioness is, legs are in the water and it's all overgrown and there's so much potential.
I think particularly just to see them in the water. I mean, I've seen lions all stop and pretty much bump into the back of each other because there's a puddle in the road and they're snarling at this little puddle of water. But obviously, up in Bots, they're a little bit more accustomed to it. But for me, it's unusual to see a lioness wading through the water, certainly.
And also in the water, but not in a panic, not trying to leave. She's almost purposely moving through with
Mm.
this stalking nature.
I'm intrigued to know what she has in her sights.
Yeah. Another thing I love about lionesses moving at this pace is that you get a really clear view of their shoulder blades, a very
Yes.
slow-mo.
Yeah, you
So
can see all
muscular.
those muscles just rippling, uh, tensing, all those sinews. Very impressive. Although she's keeping her tail just out of the water. Doesn't want to get her tail wet. Is that a croc there?
Yeah. Oh, Croc's getting pretty fast there.
I'm surprised she doesn't seem too concerned by the crocodile.
Mm-mm.
Maybe not deemed big enough to be a danger, but still, I'd be worried about it.
I definitely would be worried about it, but I might also not put myself in this particular position.
No, I'd have walked around the edge personally.
Yeah. I mean, she's left the others to travel a bit of a distance. I wonder what was going on there.
Yeah, I was also sort of waiting to see the quarry that she had in her sights, but I guess we will never know. But it seems strange for her to just go straight through the middle, particularly with crocodiles there, which she must have been aware of. She would have been able to see those eyes staring at her, but I can only assume she's done it many times and has become
Mm.
accustomed to it and isn't too concerned.
Because it also made me wonder, could it be something where her tactic, if she was stalking and hunting, where her tactic needed to change because maybe they were on the land or were not paying as much attention to the water? But I can't imagine what animal that would be at that time at night. If the animal's out at night, it's going to be able to see what's happening.
Well, I see here it looks like it was a lechwe, I believe, but we just couldn't see them on the camera, which is also often is found in that sort of aquatic environment with the big spread feet. Not that I've seen them very often, but yeah, maybe she just deemed that that was the shortest approach, and perhaps walking around the outside would have left her in cover. Maybe she thought that by being in the water, that would actually hide her and make her less obvious for a more stealthy approach. Certainly.
Hmm, definitely. And I think also moving through the water at the pace that she was would cause very little disturbance and very little sound. So, in a way, it's very clever of her to think about the different ways she could approach that hunt.
I mean, we're anthropomorphizing a little bit now, but it also makes you wonder that a lechwe probably wouldn't be expecting an attack to come from a lion from water. So just by
Yes.
mixing it up and doing something a bit unusual, maybe that I can only assume that she's had success employing
Yeah.
this sort of hunting strategy in the past and has learned that maybe she can get closer because the lechwe would, or any antelope would put it down to a crocodile moving around in the water, or a hippo, or a fish sploshing, and not
Yeah.
necessarily associate it with an approaching lion.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a very cool sighting. I was a little bit on the edge of my seat.
Oh, well, me too.
Yeah, wondering what she's up to. Darkmane Lover also says these are some cool sightings. Karo says loads of frogs calling. Definitely lots of frogs. I think I heard a scops owl in the distance as well, which is one of the bush sounds that I really, really miss. Um, yeah, very, very cool sighting. On to the next one, Ben.
Yep, that's good.
It's the big UFC fight between old Rodney and Rolo, everybody. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh no. Oh, that is one funky horn.
It looks like there's some blood around the face. So I guess this is
Mm.
we're about to see round two, I think. I was waiting for the tail to curl up.
Oh, there we go. So to me, the one the one on the right looks larger.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I
I
think
think
Rodney, right? According to our
I
information.
think so, yes. Yeah, Rodney's the dominant bull, yes.
So Rodney's the one on the right, and Rolo is the one on the left. Rodney appears to be the dominant bull at the moment here at Founders, but is actually the son of Rolo. Oh, no. Rolo is the son of Rodney. Am I correct? I think I am.
Um,
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
not 100% sure.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
Kirst just confirmed it. Here we go. So Rolo's gonna be. Ooh. This is like the ultimate.
Interesting, Rolo looks a bit more confident now
Mm.
on a level playing field, even though before he had the upper hand, the higher ground. Hmm. Look at that posture.
So now we've got Rodney on the left, the dominant bull, and Rolo on the right, Rodney's son, subdominant.
Not quite the chilling battle cries I was expecting. Right on cue.
It's a mix of dinosaur and rhino calf.
Agree, yeah. It's Velocirhinos. Always seems to be a bit more of a stalemate that nobody really wants to pull the trigger, and they're quite happy to just posture and vocalize as opposed to actually risking injury, which is often the case. How much of that non-verbal communication actually goes on to not risk injury?
And it makes sense because you don't want to anything you engage with means that you're risking your own life, right? But I also wondered, could there be a recognition of kin, which is kind of holding them back?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Normally, certainly in areas that I've worked, if there have been young male calves, they tend to go off eventually on their own to find their own territories. But I don't know if I've ever knowingly witnessed a father-son
Hmm.
meet-up, as it were. But it makes you wonder if we see it in leopards and things that the parents do seem to be a little bit more, I wouldn't say gentle, but a little bit more forgiving if they
Yeah,
know that it is their own offspring.
yeah, definitely. And I think maybe there isn't literature to prove this, but I feel, because that's evidence of something, that they would recognize kin, and because this individual has been in their territory and around them in their home ranges for such a long time, and they recognize the mother as somebody they have mated with. So maybe that doesn't mean anything to them, but I think there is some level of recognition and familiarity. Maybe that could be at
I would
play.
think there must be, yeah.
Yeah.
Their olfactory capabilities, as we know, and particularly white rhino, is incredible and picks up a whole load of subtle nuances that obviously
Mhm.
well beyond our range of abilities. So I have no doubt that there is some form of recognition, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, the one really cool thing that I remember from way back when I first started guiding was that not white rhino, but black rhino have the highest mortal combat rate of all mammals. So combat that ends in death. For white rhino, it's a lot less, but I found it very interesting that that honor belongs to one of the rhinos.
I'm so surprised. I did not know that. One thing that I did discover, or I do know, that if you take a dove, for example, which is usually seen as a bird of peace, actually out here
Yeah.
in Africa is considered a bird of war because they also have a tendency to fight to the death. The bird of peace out here is the lilac-breasted roller. It's one is sacrificed and buried with a spear, apparently, between two rival tribes, or this used to take place. But interesting to see how cultural difference change it. Most people associate does with peace, yet over
Yeah.
here they're often associated with war.
Interesting. That was a very good little tidbit. Um, we've got a minute left, so I'm just going to go through these questions and then we'll watch our last clip. Mindy says, you're wondering, once a rhino gets dehorned, the horn probably never gets to grow back long enough to be pointy again. Would that be true? I can't say I've watched a rhino grow back an entire horn after being dehorned, but I
I
suspect
think
that the horny shape, the pointy shape, actually comes from usage, not really growth.
so they tend to scratch them and almost inadvertently sharpen them, and the tip is always going to be weaker and more easily malleable, I would think. So I think it probably would happen naturally, maybe just not quite the sharpest tip that it could be.
Yeah. And also I think there is very little opportunity to see that because the the whole point of being dehorned is to reduce risk to the rhino. So their reserves are not going to let those horns then grow out again all the way to full length and then be used to sharpen that edge before they dehorn again. So I'm not sure we would even be able to see that, except in reserves where they once did dehorn and now they've stopped, which might give us the opportunity to really know for sure. Jen Lat, you're asking, is this a dominance, a territory dispute? According to the lodge, it's a dispute over a female in estrus. Oh, yep, always causing problems. It's not our doing, it's your doing. Karu says, wow. Minnie says, not often we get to hear rhino sounds. Yes, definitely not often. And I must say, a little unexpected, those particular
I
notes that rhino
I
was
agree
producing.
because I think if you see a female warding off the advances of a male, it's a much more guttural, scary, growling sound. Somehow I expected more sort of primeval sort of grunting and growling than squeaky beep.
Yes. I expected something coming from the very soul of this rhino, deep inside, but we got some of that. And
Oh.
then we got the calf. "Mm."
That's what made me interpret it more of a discussion rather than a full-blooded fight. But I did note that Rodney looked as if he had some blood there, so maybe they've engaged in some more fearsome battles to date, and this was more of a, all right, we've agreed on everything now. Let's just make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah. And Leela May 6 says, are these tracking devices on the rhino's ankles? No, they're just very fashionable. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Yes, they are tracking devices, although I think they look very smart in their watches. They remind me of my brother. I don't know why, but anyway, we've run out of time, so let's quickly head over to Serengeti Explorer and have a quick look at some cute characters before we say goodbye.
Oh, the old ones that are gone. I actually saw these up in Tanzania last week when I was up there. The color is nothing short of spectacular. I know I forget who it was who's coined them the Spider-Man lizard because of the red
Yeah,
and blue costume, but it's perfect. But they are so striking.
they are beautiful. Another one. Oh, oh, this is the male that we're looking at. The female is a lot more drab. Very quick.
Hmm. Oh, what's he got? A wasp.
A wasp.
It's like a spider hunting wasp or something along
Hmm.
those lines. Yeah.
Oh yes, definitely a wasp. I saw the sting.
Yeah. Do they bite the sting off or do they swallow it whole? They
My
must
thoughts
swallow it whole.
exactly.
You'd think that all the goodness is in the abdomen. Yeah,
Does a
gone.
wasp need to do anything to sting an animal? Or can it sting you even when it's dead?
As far as I know, they can still sting when it's dead. I don't know if it's almost like I don't know what you would call it, but if you just apply pressure to it, there's a biological or physiological response to inject the venom along with the sting. I assume, but I speak under correction. But I know you can get stung by a dead wasp. You pick one up and jab yourself with it, you'll get stung.
Huh. Okay, because I wondered whether the mechanism, if it bites it in just the right way, maybe that mechanism no longer works. But I'll have to do some
Unless
research.
by chomping down on it, it sort of squeezes the venom out,
Yeah,
so there isn't that much left, maybe. I'm not sure.
interesting. Lots of open questions, lots of research to do, but what a stunning creature.
Indeed.
But now, Ben, it is time to say farewell. I hope that I will see you soon.
Farewell, everybody.
Yes,
It's lovely to be back. And what a great show. Some amazing clips.
amazing clips. And such a variety as well. Very nice. Ben, it's always a pleasure to have you on board, and I hope that we'll see you very soon. And everyone else, thank you very much for joining us. I love doing these shows. Goodbye for now.
Bye, everyone.